Hello everyone, welcome back. So, I made a little pop-up match safe out of tin from a dollar store cookie sheet. Alright, so I didn't film myself making it. They've been these last couple videos showing you how I make things have been coming out like 45 minutes, some over an hour, and I have to edit them down. So I'm going to show you how I made various components of that in case you want to make one yourself. So let me reset this camera and I'll show you how I made the various components. Alright, so like I said, we're starting out with a dollar store cookie sheet, or I should say $1.25 cookie sheet. And we already got a piece cut up. So what we're going to make now is the top cup. Let me take this apart here so you can see. So there's a top cup, well, cover basically, and then a little cup on the bottom. See that? And the cylinder. That's all it is. So let me make a cup so you can see how I did it. And it's just going to be a random size. I'm not really measuring anything, but if you make one yourself, you know, measure it out exactly how you want it. Make sure you cut everything straight. Whew, that went flying. Okay, now I folded over the top, and I'll show you how I did that. I got a steel rule, and of course I measured everything out, right? But now I'm going to do it by eye. So let's just say I wanted that to be 1/4 inch. Let me come over this way, and I'll put that into my vise with a steel rule. Whoa! Make sure everything is straight. Okay, and then just fold it over. Now if you watch some of my other videos on candle holders, you would have seen me do this. But I figured I'll throw in little snippets in this video. Then I have a little Harbor Freight anvil. Now you have a folded over edge, okay? I'm going to straighten this a little bit because, like I said, I didn't measure it. I kind of want it straight when I do the next step. Man, I butchered that. Okay, good enough for government work. Let me drop you down. Now, depending on the size that you want the cup to be, you're going to need a mandrel. A mandrel could be anything like a pipe or this piece of 1/2 inch bar here. And on this project, I wanted the fold to be on the inside, okay? So you can't see it on the outside. So basically, you start by holding the metal there and then gently start tapping it as you bring it around. And you start to form your circle, okay? And again, if you wanted it bigger, you would use a bigger mandrel. This doesn't fit on here, but I'll show you the concept. See, you get a bigger circle. Let me just kind of eyeball this. Okay, so we got a circle, semicircle, okay? Now, you're going to want to close this up to get it so at the point where it'll stay closed without you holding it closed. So just kind of maneuver it. See that? See how the seam is very, very close? Now you might have to, which I think I should on this one, take a file and make sure this edge is flat. And if you squeeze it while the file's in there, you could go like this and you'll hit both sides at the same time. And then they should meet up perfectly. Look at that. All right. Let me cut a little piece out of here to simulate the bottom. And we'll use this as a simulated bottom. Okay. Now this went out of round, but don't worry about it because we're going to straighten this back up once it's soldered. Just make sure that seam is tight. Okay. Now again, I didn't make this perfect, right? So it's a little off here, a little off there. Oh, actually we have to make this round now because we're soldering it to the bottom. All right, let's put it back in the mandrel. I was thinking I'm making a collar for a candle holder. Believe it or not, this is the most fiddly part. Making sure it's round. Okay, that's much better. And then we'll close this up a little bit. Again, I'm not concerned with it being perfectly round. I'm just kind of showing you the concept. Okay, so we got a good seal there. All right, okay. Let me readjust this camera. So I have a little brick here. It doesn't have to be a fire brick. This is just a paver. Okay, and you're going to want to get a little piece of sandpaper and you want to sand where the solder is going to go. Basically like when you're doing a plumbing joint, you want to make sure it's clean. And you run emery cloth on it. Again, I'm not going to go crazy, but now this is going to be the base that this is going to get soldered on to make a cap, right? So you also want to sand this. Okay. Now you want to get yourself some soldering paste. And I always forget to bring my little acid brush. I'll just smear a little on there. Okay. Man, I'm trying to do this fast so it's not a 45-minute video. Alright, and we get ourselves some solder. And you want to get yourself a nice little circle of solder. That should do it. Just making a little circle like this. Drop it in there. And then you're going to get yourself a heat source, which I have this pencil torch. And then slowly heat it up. And you'll see it gets sucked into the joint. I think it moved on me. So this joint right here is not going to be closed. But I'll give you the idea anyway. Alright, let me let that cool and I'll bring you back. Alright, so it's cool to the touch. And as you can see, we made a little cup. Okay? Now this seam here, it must have moved when I put it in because it actually did close all the way, but I got a little extra solder there. So at this point, you'll take a file or sandpaper or whatever you want. You're going to clean this up. So for the bottom now, you're just going to go around it and trim off this excess. Okay? And then you're just going to file that round, or if you have a sander, you can use a sander. And basically, that would be, one of these would become the bottom cup. Hold on, let me pull this out and show you. So, one of these would be the bottom cup. Obviously, it would be a smaller size. And one would be the top, the lid, however you want to call it. But that's exactly how I made these. Now, I'm going to show you how I got this brass bar attached to this. Alright, so now I have to clean in there because, let me get a little wire brush. Again, when you're soldering, you want everything clean. Okay. Now, in this case, it's a 3/32 brass rod. And again, we're going to want to clean the end of this. And don't cut it to size yet. Okay? So now we're going to take this and we're going to add a little dab of solder right on the end of this. So we got to heat it up. More. Okay. I touched it before it was dry. Let me just remelt that. Kind of want a little blob, just like that. See that? Hopefully that shows up. Let me put it. Okay, you just got a little blob on it. It doesn't have to be all the way around, just as long as there's a blob there. Now, you're going to pick the center of this hole. I just eyeballed it, but you could do it however you want. Now, you're going to put this rod right where you want it. Oh, I forgot to put flux. You want to put a little spot of flux down there. And I forgot to put it on the rod too, but we'll put it on the rod and we'll touch it down there. Okay, let me come up a little bit so you can kind of see. You see what I'm doing? See, I want you to see how far up I'm holding this. I am probably 8 inches away from where I'm going to put the heat. Okay. So now you center this as best you can. I'm looking behind the camera. I can't really see what I'm doing. And you're going to start to heat just the rod. You don't want to go anywhere near the cup you just made, because you just soldered it and you don't want it to fall apart. And you'll see that I obviously can't get the camera inside there, but you'll see there's a blob. And just hold it there for a few seconds. If you have water handy, you could throw some water in there, but it doesn't take long. Boom. And that's soldered right to that. So that's how you make this section, okay? And obviously I would have a bottom part, and then the deer antler finial, I ran the rod through it, I drilled a hole, and I did that same soldering technique on the top, okay? Now, you also might want to have some paper towel, and you could wet it and fold it around here. That'll keep that cool. There'll be no chance of that melting what you just did, okay? So let me set that aside. Let me reset up the camera, clean this, and I'll show you the pop-up match holder in more detail. All right. So basically, I'll be honest with you, the hardest part is getting it round, very round. I did a pretty good job. The top didn't come out perfectly round. I don't know if that'll show up. But you know what? I don't care. This was handmade. It's one of a kind for me. It's not my idea. Back in the day, I've seen these little pop-ups that had toothpicks in them. They had cigarettes in them. So I'm sure there was some that had matches in them. But I don't know if it'll show up. But if you can see that little solder blob that holds that closed, holds the rod to the bottom, and then basically you just take your matches and you dump them in, and the little cup is on the bottom so that they kind of sit right in there, and when they come out they do a little umbrella effect. I don't know why, I just thought this was so cool. I think it's one of the coolest things I've ever made. Okay, so now you need a match. Let me adjust that. So you need a match. You just pull this up. See how they come out? Pretty simple. You take your match. I have a striker here. I just double stick taped it onto the side there. So you take out your match, you strike it, and you light whatever you want. And part of the reason why I wanted to make this was the whole kind of tin smithing I've been doing for this to kind of match with the candle holders and match safes that I have. It just kind of matches into that little genre. So there you have it. If you have any questions on anything that I did, I know I kind of wanted to go through that fast because I did not want to make another 45-minute video, even though a lot of this stuff that I did already, I did them in other videos, like when I made the candle snuffer and stuff like that. So but there you have it. I think you have enough information that if you want to make one of these yourself. The deer antler finial, that's just the tip of a tine that I put into my drill press and I spin it around and I make a little design. You don't have to use deer antler. You don't have to use anything. It doesn't need any design on the top. You could just lift the cover off. You don't need to have that. But I just like to add it. So I don't want to make a very, very long video, and here I am yapping away. But there you have it, folks. My pop-up match safe. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, just leave them down below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And you know I'm going to say it. I'm sending you all much, much love and appreciation, my brothers and sisters. Thanks for coming along. I hope you all are doing well, and we'll see you on the next one.